Welcome everyone once again to another episode of Coffee and Bolters. In this episode, we are going to talk about a white scar, Suboden Khan. Because we're going to release guides on how to paint him on our Patreon, Gerard Gomes will be releasing them. So, while following our routine, we're going to do a special feature on Suboden, okay? Personally, I have to say that I really do not know very much about the lore of the White Scars, so this will also help me to learn more about this particular chapter and this legion. So let's get to it. Suboden Khan holds the title of First Khan of the White Scars, and with it, as first captain, he leads the legendary first company of the chapter, known as the Brotherhood of the Spearhead. An accomplished rider and master of mounted warfare, he commands his brothers from the back of his warsteed, launching them into the heart of the most fierce battles. But anyway, let's talk a little about his history, how it began, from what little is known. He was first the captain of the 5th Company. According to the chapter's deployment records during the Damocles Crusade, Suboden Khan was already in command of the 5th Company in that battle. We continue with the Third War for Armageddon in 998 of the 41st millennium. During that apocalyptic conflict, the forces of Joust Khan were deployed in their entirety across the Deadlands. Suboden Khan, second in command, would lead an independent strike detachment tasked with protecting the vital Promethium and water processing stations. Meanwhile, Jubal concentrated the rest of his forces on the northern coast, where orbital scans had detected the orcs building huge fortifications, operations that could not be ignored. Aware that his men lacked the strength to secure much of the scattered infrastructure, Suboden devised a strategic plan to deny the enemy its objectives, lure them to a central point, and crush them. He thus ordered the destruction of the Valdez, Gatma, and Point Yarik pumping stations, directing the orcs toward Dante's Canyon, the last Promethium drilling station for kilometers around. And what happened there? What happened in Dante's Canyon? Well, surrounded by icy cliffs and packed snow, Dante's Canyon became the perfect setting to funnel the orcs into deadly traps. Suboden's scouts placed strategically located explosives capable of causing avalanches and weakening the ice sheet. A small detachment guarded the station, serving as bait, while a second, larger group lured the greenskins to an area prepared with explosives. Suboden led the 3rd detachment, composed of assault marines, with the mission to confront the orc warlord and claim his head. From the sky, the defending squads were attacked by waves of assault soldiers. But precise anti-aircraft bolter fire shot down many. Those who managed to touch down were met with chain swords and combat blades, and although the orcs' numerical superiority was quickly felt, the White Scars' resistance did not falter. Meanwhile, the 2nd detachment celebrated and laughed amidst the confusion of the skirmish, filling the air with the roar of engines, smoke, spilled fuel, and charred bodies. Once the enemy's attention was captured, the White Scars swiftly retreated towards Dante's Canyon. There, the improvised explosives detonated with precision, triggering avalanches of snow and fragmented ice that crushed thousands of orcs, while others fell into the frozen abysses, drowning in the icy depths. Even so, the warlord and his elites continued to advance toward the station. It was then that Suboden launched himself into combat. In the ensuing duel, the orc leader struck down numerous marines, while Suboden, agile as a wasp, circled the warlord, stabbing him with his sword before retreating and enraging him even more. At a critical moment, the warlord caught the Khan's jetpack and crushed it with his claw. When all seemed lost, Suboden delivered a final blow, decapitating the orc leader. With their leader fallen and casualties mounting, the remaining orcs fled, annihilated. The victory was hard-won and costly, but it was a victory in the end and achieved against an overwhelming enemy. Let's look at the war for Chogoris. After Armageddon, Suboden was present on Chogoris, the homeworld of the White Scars, during the invasion of Huron Blackheart. It was there that Jurga, his predecessor as the first Khan, was mutilated by the sword of the Discordant Lord and entombed in a dreadnought. Unable to lead the Spearhead Brotherhood, Jurga would abdicate and Suboden was elevated in his place. Yurga Khan was not the only notable casualty. The great Khan, Jubal, was seriously wounded after being captured by Huron's forces, whom we will talk about soon, and subjected to torture. Although his mind remains intact, his body is beyond the Apothecarion's ability to heal. Under these circumstances, Jubal has come to depend entirely on his Boden, passing on all his experience before death or final internment in a dreadnought sarcophagus claims his body. Suboden has received the title of Master of the War Council and summons the other Khans to the Kurultai, the assembly of commanders that precedes major deployments. Such is his authority that many captains consider it inevitable that he will succeed Jubal, and no one would dare deny him such an honor. But what armament does Suboden carry? Well, as first captain, Suboden Khan possesses one of the most powerful relics of the White Scars, his bike, Thunder. It was a gift from Belisarius Cawl during the Ultima founding. It incorporates technology similar to the repulsor and impulsor vehicles, fusing anti-gravity plates with turbine engines, allowing it to traverse the most inhospitable terrain. Although Suboden is an expert in close combat, like all White Scars, he feels most at home mounted on his bike, leading his veteran escorts into the thick of the battle. His sword, Storm's Tooth, has been wielded by the first captains for millennia. Perfectly balanced, it can be wielded from the saddle or as a lance to annihilate enemy infantry with lethal precision. Well, I hope you enjoyed this profile. He's a character that isn't very well known and, well, we'll have to keep an eye out because I'm sure Games Workshop will give him a much more complete development. We also want to remind you that we're featuring on our Patreon in our studio how it's painted by Gerard Gomez, and I know for a fact it's turning out to be an incredible bike. So stay tuned and we'll see you in the next Coffee and Polter.